Hell, it's a mess. Always is something. And I ain't as good as this as I used to be. I'm still old school. I'll be back and talk about some things in just a minute. I'm Dale Verts.
Here come the good guys.
Things have changed. I've talked about this before a lot since I was a tournament fisherman and a guide back in up to about 2000 or so. And I'm going to talk about I've got a buddy. I do have friends. I know it's hard to believe, y'all. Mike Harris. Now, Mike Carver is the guy that I did some fishing with. I've done a video on. I got some more video stuff to do. Mike Harris, another old friend of mine. He's the one that did my forward flung sonar, the Dynamite. The little statement on what he thought of modern technology. Very smart man. I fished my second ever club tournament I ever fished with him, 1981, and won my first money ever in a tournament with him that day with a 4th place finish. How's that? $10.46, I think. How's that for what a day? Mike's sharp guy. He's also, critic's fair enough. He watches almost all my videos, from rock hunting and arrowhead hunting on my Hickbilly Outdoor channel to my bass fishing stuff. And we've talked for a couple years about going fishing. You know, it's not like it used to be. You just jump in and go. We're gonna go. However, a couple weeks ago, he's in the restaurant, and he said, it's time to go night fishing. I said, pick a day. We picked a day. Would have been this previous Monday. He comes in the restaurant Sunday. He says, man, I'm going to back out. He said, you can make fun of me on the videos. I'm not going to make fun of him, except I'm going to show you that he figured out some things he's wrong about. It's probably hard. Mike ain't hardly ever wrong, I'm sure. I've told him, and I've about to change. He said, oh, things haven't changed that much. You've changed, whatever. Besides the fishing itself, the fishing pressure, the amount of folks that are bass fishing, and I think we have less bass. I can't be this bad. Fishing is different than what it used to be. But also, geographically, the lakes have changed so much. And so, Mike and I are going to go night fishing. So he does a little bit of a scouting journey. Gets out there to do a little bit of reconnaissance. Mike found out something. He took his little tracker boat out in Lake of the Ozarks the other day, facing death and destruction. And he went to where we would be fishing. His favorite night fishing stuff. It's stuff that I've fished too. It's amazing. We fished the same things over the years. And it ain't there anymore. Well, it's there, but it's covered up with a marina docks. They're probably playing beach volleyball up on the bank, and the music, the thumping music, it's a big old thing now. Mike decided he's not going to risk his life to take me night fishing and to show me how good he still is. We're going to go fishing. We're going to go fishing this fall when it's easier. We're going to go fishing when we can take a rattle trap and a buzz bait and catch white bass and everything. That's what we're going to do. Things have changed a bunch. I was fishing the upper Lake of the Ozarks there last week at one day, and the week before. The only 2 times I've been fishing since June. Still sad. There's no secrets anymore. It's not just the technology. The upper Lake of the Ozarks, the upper 5 to 8 miles, at one time it was hidden bayous, hidden backwater, hidden sloughs. And a lot of them were shown, they were all shown on maps, but people did not see them. My whole thing back in the day, I had my John Boat bass boat, and I fished with other guys' little boats. And my statement was, at 18 years old, that you don't see those places. They're invisible at 60 mile an hour. Back then, that was 60 was where we all shot for. I'm going 17 mile an hour. And I figured out going into some of them sloughs and backwaters, so I didn't invent this. You've heard on another guy's channel before. I'd talked about a video a while back. Guy argued with me. You couldn't go in this creek. Oh, yeah. Almost all those spots now are exposed because Truman Lake went in before I started fishing serious a couple years, and the current has opened up those creek mouths. What used to look like a little hole in the bank is now wide open. You can see all the way back in the creek from the lake. So there's the secrets that you could have in those days are done. I've caught some fish in some of those spots, so I know the fish still utilize them. Things have changed. Things you could get into back then is harder to get into because the river bars have changed. Siltation has hurt the backs of a lot of the creeks. I think Lake the Ozarks has such a fluctuation water flow because of Truman that it's allowed some of that water to back up the backs of those creeks, and it slows water flow in down. I think that's what's happened. But also the mouths of some of these creeks. They've always been tricky to get into, but they've changed. It's changed the habitat. It's changed the way you approach things, and I guarantee it's changed the fish a bunch. The building on the lakes, and it's horrible. It's like this point that Mike was wanting to fish. It had a marina on it one time and some marina docks. But now it is a huge hub for crazy city folk. It's a party spot, and it's boat docks everywhere, boats coming and going all the time. It's just not what it used to be. This way back in the mid-late 80s, there's a spot up the Niagara arm of Lake the Ozarks, in wintertime spot especially, where it's just basically the big old bluff bank, a big old sweeping channel swing that left the bank and went across the lake. And somewhere from where that bank flattened out down the lake a half mile up to that bluff, and somewhere they was there all the time, especially in the winter. And they still are, I'm sure. And you'd go down there, and the best part of that channel swing was right after the channel kind of left the bank behind you. It's still pretty steep. It transitioned to the broke up chunk and pea gravel, and somewhere between the bluff and the flatter spot leading the first cove down there, that was, I think it's a half mile, third of a mile anyway, long stretch, probably a half mile total. But the best spot, that sweet spot, where you parked the boat, made that long cast with a jerkbait in the wintertime, and sat there sometimes, caught fish after fish after fish. It's what you look forward to. One day, it was about 87 winter. Buddy and I went down there, and we're going to go fish that. We come around the bend to it, and there's about a 60 slip boat dock sitting there for a condo that they're building up on the bank. They got the bank all cut out, sculpted, and their footings poured, and they're getting ready to build this condo, and they already had the dock there. And I thought, oh my gosh. We caught some fish here, but this big old condo dock kind of right in the way. By that time of next year, there was 2 more of them, and that whole stretch, 50 to 60 yards, the best part of that bank is covered up with docks. Now, you can still catch fish there. That would be silly to say you couldn't, but you can't sit back and make that cast, the cast that matters, the angle, and it's happened all over the lake. That was the first time I saw that, basically the ruination of a good spot, which, again, I guess there's probably been tons of keeper bass caught there since then. Things have changed. Mike kind of argued with me, and he hadn't seen any of it yet, as far as bass fishing. He's seen enough change of crappie fishing with forward-facing sonar and things. He don't like it either. But the water's changed, the people have changed, topography, geography of the lake has changed, and I don't think we have as many fish. And it's all about the change, and I'm not done figuring this out yet. I'm hoping to have a couple more years before I figure it out. I need to go fishing to have a couple more years, though, don't I? Yeah, that's the problem. That's why I'm upset. My truck's broke down. I talked about another video, water pump, and it wasn't a water pump. I'm changing it anyway. I had a water line break to the heater core. I can't believe I can see that water or smell that. Till I got home, I got more water in the truck, got home, and went and bought parts, because the water pump's been a squalling. It's making a lot of noise, and I should have changed it when I first bought the truck last winter. But that's not good, so I went and bought a water pump, and I get into it. I start turning into it. I look up at that hose going, the return line from the heater is broke completely off. So problem with that is I have to have tools. And when I was a kid, I bought tools. I figured I'm going to use them. It's an investment. Now, I got to buy a tool for taking that apart I'll never use again. And I do not have a big enough wrench to take clutch fan off. I'll have to buy one. A 36 millimeter. That's an inch and a half. I don't. That's a big one. I don't have one that big. I thought I had big ones. Inch and a quarter wrench, the biggest one I got. And that's if I get it loose. I got it soaking right now, so everything's on hold. It rained most of the week, so didn't rain much, but I put it off. So it wouldn't take that long once I got everything tore out. I got the clutch fan off. Won't take that long to get it happening, but I'm gonna have to go to town tomorrow and buy some tools. I don't live close to town, so it's a major effort and for me to figure those things out. Maybe I go fishing next week. I talked last week where I did a video on electric blue, one of my favorite colors. Well, this can be about red. I think that'll show up. If not, I can see it's actually showing up red. Look at that. All right, hey, cool. Focus, good. And I don't, strawberry red, which is what that is. Bright red. Translucent, fairly clear. That's got some gold flake in it, fine, whatever. Opaque colors are more solid, translucent, see-through. Red in the summertime, in the hottest part of summer, which we're kind of already through now, has always been kind of a little secret. I don't know why, even me, I'm not doing it. Now, I've got red worms in my boat. I've got 10-inch red worms, but I don't have the right ones. I don't have these. I haven't had these in years. That's that favorite gator tail style of mine I've talked about a lot. This ties together with night fishing. Anyway, years ago, Al Ron Lure Company here at Truman had a tomato red, ugly, solid red, ugly, not shiny. Oh boy, did 10-inch worm, did it catch fish in the frickin' summertime. Crazy good. I have to make some. I've never seen that worm color since. I had some till a few years ago. But the translucent red, daytime, clear water, whatever, excellent. Where that tomato red would work in stained water, it seemed like. But basically, clear, see through the colors, clear the water. Years ago, I used to sneak into, I snuck into, I was a kid, a little lake down by the house. It was a water supply lake. And I had permission, kind of. Till the boss caught me one day. He said, man, I can't have you fishing here, and all that. I said, okay. He said, I don't want to catch you fishing here. Another guy said, well, that means he don't want to catch you. Go ahead and fish. He don't want to be the one that sees you. So we started fishing there at night. Never fished at night before for bass. I was 14 years old. And this is really clear water and could be tough to fish. Had a lot of big fish in it. So we went one evening, and for whatever reason, I think it was 4th of July, nobody was around. We went before dark. Nobody was going to be there, and we started fishing, and I had a strawberry jelly worm on. Strawberry, translucent, clear jelly worm. I had some 7-inchers, because they were big worms back then. I had 7-inch black ones. The theory was I'm going to fish that strawberry worm till dark, then go to the black worm after dark. So we fished a half hour or so before dark. I don't remember if we caught very many fish. But it got dark, and if you fish much at night, at least what it used to be for me, that first hour or so after the sun gets good and down can be tricky. I think the fish have to take a while to acclimate. I've just had struggle catching them after the sun goes down for an hour or so. Anyways, we're fishing along, and my buddy catches a little one, and I catch about a 4-pounder. Whatever, a nice fish. And I land it, and my worm is not on the bait anymore. So we didn't carry lights, didn't get caught. I reach my pocket, and I pull out another 7-inch jelly worm, and I put it on my hook. And I caught, I'd say, another 5 or 6 bass in a row on that bait. Just over and over. My partner wasn't catching any. My buddy up the bank, he did catch the biggest fish that night. And I fished till almost midnight, and I ran out of those worms in that pocket. I remember going to the other pocket, pulling the worm out and holding it up because the lights from the water department was back in the background. Man, it was really dark. I tied it on, and I caught a couple more fish. I probably caught 25 bass that night. So we come home. We walk home. It's probably 1:30 in the morning we get home, maybe later. And we're going to get something to eat. We're teenage kids. We've been fishing. Before we take a nap, before we probably go fishing early the next morning somewhere else, I reached my pocket. I had 3 worms left in my pocket. I pulled them out. It's all them black ones. I'd been catching all them fish on that red one. At night. No moon. Dark, clear water. At night. Huh. I've had people argue with me on red before. Red is supposed to be the first color that loses its true color. Can't fish with it deeper than 10 foot deep. I've heard all kinds of crap. If it does change color and lose its red, it still gets something that the fish like. Because I catch a lot of bass 30, 40 foot deep on a red worm over the years. But at night, on a translucent worm, if I'd went fishing with Mike last Monday night, I would have had, depending when we went, for my night fish, I had 3 rods. I'd had a rod with a 1/2 ounce black jig and a number 1 big pork frog, because that's as good as it gets at night. I'd had a rod with a 10-inch black worm, and I'd had a rod with a 10-inch red shad or whatever that I've got, because I'm not ever forgot how that red worked at night for me. It's worked since then. Matter of fact, I won a tournament at night on red once on Truman Lake. Yeah. So something to think about. Y'all night fish, complete opposite way that you would normally think. And I'll bet you that ain't changed. The lakes have changed. People have changed. Politics are never going to change. Dadgummit. But that red at night, translucent, I guarantee it'll still work, and I wish I had a chance to prove it. I'm not sure if I can go fishing daytime. Going fishing at night may be tricky. That's all I got. Just talking, just rambling. Truck's still not right. Got to go to work in a little while. Got hot again in Missouri. Hope you guys are doing well. God bless. Let me know what y'all think about my translucent red worm at night.